Making this video today that I didn't initially want to make. But there comes a time when we're all at a crossroad and have to make a decision. And sometimes that decision can affect you morally, it can affect you spiritually, and it can affect you financially. But it's a decision that we can't shy away from. Now recently, Just Pearly Things has been caught up in some controversy. Why? She has interviewed avid racist and known racist Nick Fuentes.
Why should I have to be presentable? Why should I have to be beautiful? Why should I have to be fit, feminine, and friendly? Why should I have to be attractive? Why should I have to respect you? When you got this chick coming through like, yeah, I'll pay you, 10%, even though you're doing all the work. And, even though I don't really believe this shit, I'll just say it to you and then you'll give me your praise and your acceptance. I don't really like you guys like that, but,
Because of these actions, and Pearl, we had a one-on-one conversation before I recorded this video, and I told you I can no longer work with you. We had a dating show that was in the pipeline, and I was super excited about releasing this content on your...
Y'all has to say.
I wish you luck, and
I don't.
Wow.
I really don't. I don't wish the luck to racists.
Oh, I'm not racist.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Nick.
Yeah, I am a little bit racist.
And the Italians, we do not claim you.
So, I want to first say I take full accountability for everything that happened. Everything that happens in life, as I say to the girls on my show, is my own fault. The fact that people are making these videos is my own fault. And the situation that I'm in is my own fault.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the RP experience. Peace and love to my brothers and sisters out there. Thank you for hitting the like button, subscribing, and turn on notifications so you know when I have a whole new video. Today's video is going to be about Pearly Things going viral doing that interview with Nick Fuentes. I think that's how you say his name. And I would assume that he's Spanish because of the last name, but actually he's Italian. Anyway, she received a lot of heat from this. Now, I didn't really know Pearly Things until I guess she caught fire. After that Hafiz video, because I know it's the she was starting to gain traction, but especially for me, I became aware of her after she had that interview with Hafiz. And there's going to be things that I did not know that some other creators are going to point out. Now, there are people that's more engrossed or they have more knowledge in this situation than me. So I'm going to take their viewpoints. Now, some of them I felt were petty, and even some that I have respect for. But see, this is the thing that I notice with people in general. You never really know them. So sometimes certain belief systems or the way that they think, you really don't know until you get in the trenches with them. There are black guys that I knew, and we was cool. But later I found out, they were either racist or real prejudiced toward white people because of their experiences or their belief system. And I'm pretty sure there are white people that I know that have that same similar thing. Now, I'm not caping for her here, but I always like to be fair with certain things like this because sometimes it can be misinterpretations. Now, I did see a bit of that video that she had the interview with him. And if I did not know, well, the other content that she was spewing out, I would be kind of like, those two seem like good friends and they seem to get along, but you know, we're gonna hear all viewpoints here, and then in the end, Pearly's going to say her piece, and I will give her respect here because she didn't do the usual typical female things, and I'm glad my last video was about self-love and accountability. Anyway, let's begin.
You niggas would never in the manosphere let black women walk around just plain faced, natural how they are. And even the black women y'all be talking about, natural, plain faced, just wearing Little House on the Prairie dresses. Sisters, according to them, you now take it all off. Don't wear shit to impress no man. Don't be cute. And I need you to go to Walmart and I need you to buy you some Little House on the Prairie dresses, okay? That should be good enough for them.
And I hate that. I really hate that. First of all, put a 3 in the chat if you could hear that. I hope y'all were able to hear that. Can y'all put a 3 if you're able to hear that? I don't know if my computer's tripping or not. Okay. I hate that because by having just pasty things propped up the way that she is, and a lot of you guys maybe co-signing her earlier on or in the beginning, it creates this image of black men not really having standards and being able to get the bare minimum and be okay. So, for example, like Michi said, if you have this plain Jane, she called her an ironing board looking bitch. You got this plain Jane ironing board looking bitch coming through and y'all are like, yeah, she's good. We love her. All hell Pearly things. It's like, oh, is this all it takes to get your approval? Is this all it takes to get your respect? Is this all it takes to get your love, to get your support? So she really lowered the bar. And so when you have black females coming through saying things like, well, why should I have to be presentable? Why should I have to be beautiful? Why should I have to be fit, feminine, and friendly? Why should I have to be attractive? Why should I have to respect you? When you got this chick coming through like, yeah, I'll pay you, 10%, even though you're doing all the work. And, even though I don't really believe this shit, I'll just say it to you and then you'll give me your praise and your acceptance. I don't really like you guys like that, but, it just makes y'all look like, again, hypocrites. Like you're really not about what you say that you're about. You are able to have this female come through, and I'm talking about bottom. She at the bottom. Come on, she a 6. Bitch, where? Bitch, where?
Look is like how we represent ourselves. It's not fun, but it's just like being honest. Like if I rated myself 1 to 10, I give myself a 5. I think I'm normal looking. And I just think it's based on my results. I think if I was an 8, 9, or 10, I would have had modeling contracts because people in the top 20% of beauty, they get modeling contracts.
She come through looking like a damn, what Michi say? A hotel ironing board. And y'all like, yeah, She a real one. All because she had to pay to know what you wanted her to say. What do y'all think is happening to the other women around you when they are saying this? Like, damn, well, if she can do it, well, why can't I do it? Why can't I come through with my little house on the prairie dress, my damn bonnet, my damn natural face, plain Jane, nothing to me, and just pair some shit that you want to hear, but I not live it out? That should be good enough for you, right? Because you let her do it. Is it okay because she's white? And like I said, it just really lowers the bar for y'all. You know, it's like, no, well, you let her get away with it. Why can't I? And again, I hate that for y'all, because now when y'all come through demanding certain things from these females, these black females, they're going to be like, well, why should I have to do that when y'all let this plain Jane bitch come through and just finesse y'all and say what y'all want to hear, and that's fine. So let me just finesse y'all and tell y'all what y'all want to hear while I go against everything that I say, you know, that I know that you want to hear, and you just give me the praise because I'm parroting the shit that you want to hear. Let me live, nigga. Let me be able to come through, basic as fuck, not offering you anything, but just, again, what you want to hear, and me just get all the praise, support, love. Let me do what she did, nigga. The fuck? You want me to come through, you want me to go to the gym and get my body right and look cute and dress nice and get my hair done and have my face done and, you know, have my nails done. You want me to do all of this, but a ironing board, basic looking bitch can come through and she gets classified as a 10. Y'all are crazy. That's crazy. And I hate that.
But y'all worship the ground this fucking white girl walks on. They're like, well, she understands. How can a white woman ever understand the plight of what a black man is going through in his relationships? I'm gonna need somebody to explain that to me. I guess it's kind of the same thing as Biden telling you, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. So now he's the person who tells us if we're black or not. And now you got this white woman up here telling black men what they need.
That's crazy. That is crazy. I have no words.
Danica, you know, I have love and respect for you. I followed you since I think it was 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. I had found your channel and I watched you grow. And I agree with a lot of things you say. Some things I did not. Now with this with this clip, because I did not watch your whole video, but with this clip right here, I'm going to address this because, you know, women, black women, white women, like, it's like y'all never get this basic concept right here about the looks thing. And I do think the fact that you attacked her looks was like tacky. You know, I mean, you are better than that. You didn't have to low blow like that. That's the one thing I hate about females. They know how to low blow you. Uh, I remember in high school, while the guys was bad with like teasing you and making fun of you, if the women was to also get involved in that or something, that was like totally out of control. That's why I definitely understood the Michael B. Jordan thing. Anyway, look, I remember when you first came into, well, not first came into, but when you started really getting traction, I remember Donovan Sharp took a shot at you and made like a video and stuff like that. And I definitely definitely supported you. And actually around that time, they actually made me unsubscribe from him with that and something else that he did. And of course, everybody makes mistakes because he has skeletons that came out of his closet. You know, I liked a lot of things that you say, but one thing I did not like what you used to harp on was black men that was dating interracially. You and O'Shea Duke Jackson with that. You know, I actually had unsubscribed from him because he had good content and it was funny, but then he would just get on a rant with that particular thing right there. And you used to do the same thing. Now the thing is though, you did change a bit later and you start actually acknowledging, or at least seemingly acknowledging. I don't know how you are behind closed doors, but I know it got to a point that I sent you a video as proof of what a lot of young melanated women were saying that they wanted with the thugs and hoodlums and stuff, you know. And I always keep that video whenever I'm having a debate with a melanated woman about that subject, and they don't believe it. But thankful because of TikTok and women just can't shut their mouths, is lots of evidence of white, black, Hispanic, whoever saying what type of men they want and all this other kind of stuff. But anyway, to stay focused, I understand that your video was probably a bit about, well, it was in response to one of your videos getting banned that you was talking about her. You know, I just think like just taking a shot at her looks, where she clearly said that she's a 5, even though, you know, she could be like a 4 or something too, depending on without makeup. But the thing that you women need to understand, especially in this space, the fact that you come in looking beautiful and then expecting men to bow down on their knees or something is just not good enough. Even uh, parroting the same talking points. I think one of the things that helped her out is because, yes, she was parroting, but she seemed to have a sincerity that she's for the men. Now, you know, how much does she believe in real life with this? Yeah, I guess you could question, but I'm not saying that a woman can come and just be any kind of way. But the fact that she just fine and beautiful and then just says a couple things of like men rah rah rah, uh, and you just expect men to treat her like a OnlyFans model and just throw money at her, I think that's idiotic. You know, I thought part of her appeal was she wasn't a 10. She wasn't smoking beautiful, because I believe any woman that's like too attractive coming into this space, I believe men are definitely going to be blinded by how she look and be throwing money at her. You know, that was part of the thing with you, right? Because you are an attractive woman. A lot of guys could say, well, the only reason that they are throwing money at you is because you look attractive and you say things that men want to hear. Now, do you believe the things? I believe you do. But this is why, you know, while I don't mind and I support women coming into this space, in a way, I don't trust none of y'all when it gets down to it, because I do believe money is the main factor. You know, men should be the leader of this space. If anything, some of the guys that been here for a while, like Coach Greg Adams or Anthony Spade or something like that, they should be near 1 million subscribers. You know, not the women. Y'all need to be in the back. You know, we don't mind your support, but this is for the men. The only reason why I don't mind women in here is I believe for the women that can change or can learn, it may come better coming from a woman. But however, though, the men really need to hear from the men. Anyway, that's all that I just want to say about that. I'm not saying you wrong for feeling the way that you felt, and that you're that you are right that she made a colossal mistake having that dude on there, but just taking shots at her looks though was like not a good look.
All of the information, now that I'm not on live streams with thousands of people looking at me in the back of my mind, thinking towards the tens of thousands that are waiting for the perfect reaction from me, I begin to question why you didn't sympathize with the plight of African Americans or Black people in general. And not once in the interview did you have at least one pro-Black stance or some form of ethical defense or cultural sensitivity for the people who carry your production machine forward or the people that you know that watch your channel.
And the problem also is this: when people have become dependent on her, they won't say anything. They won't say anything. Like, will her people, the people she employed in her podcast, will they now start saying, listen, I need to leave. I got to go. And the thing is, if they do that, she knows that she probably has a platform with people like Ben Shapiro and others of the sort. So this is not the end for her. But what she does now will show and prove what she really feels about the people that have helped her get to where she is today.
That's questionable at the very least, and it shows to me a degree of misguided that you are regarding our culture, and that you have some introspection to do, and you have to find a newfound respect for understanding more about the people that work for you, or who a component of the content is made for. The embellishment of slavery is where you display the true level of your insensitivity and lack of understanding about the culture that you have immersed yourself in, whether you like it or not. Pearl, at the end of the day, you f***ed up. I completely, as I said on that stream, denounce your statements. And I believe that you need to be held completely accountable for your words and your actions. And I want you to do it for the sake of my history, for the sake of my community, for the sake of my audience, and the people who have followed me and will continue to follow me, Pearl. The people that found you through my channel. Because
I wonder if he's lost subscribers because of what he didn't say, which is causing him to do this now. But I'm glad he's doing it now regardless.
Because of these actions, and Pearl, we had a one-on-one conversation before I recorded this video, and I told you I can no longer work with you. We had a dating show that was in the pipeline, and I was super excited about releasing this content on your platform. And then
so I'll be honest, I think that's premature. I think he should have waited. Unless what they talked about in this conversation, right, gave him the closure to be able to take this stance. But there are some people who say things that just may need to be educated at a specific moment. But if he's going to be, and I think he's doing this for you guys, for the audience. I'm not sure if he's doing this because he really believes that. We have to think level-headed and logically about things like this when people have mishaps with the words, and do more investigation and give them time to see what they do afterwards, because she can come out with an apology, make stances, make certain fixes, all right, make certain reparations, right, to her people, and we'll see. But I think him cutting all ties and business opportunities for the near future or however long is a little premature. I believe that he's got to see what she does after this and then make that decision. But I think him coming out right now and saying this is really just to cater to his audience, and which is smart. That's his bread and butter. So I get it.
And cutting it up and putting it up on my platform and reacting to it. We did great content up there. But along with these statements that have come up, I no longer feel comfortable in having.
Yo, and if you're watching now and you haven't liked the video yet, please do me a favor and like the video. And if you're not subscribed, join.
Okay. MTR had a 2-hour video, I believe, with this. And I did not feel like going through this. I just wanted to get to the point with his video. But he was also a creator that I've been watching for years, at least from 2019, 2020 and stuff like that. I watched him grow. I remember when he was at, I think it was like 40 or 50,000. Now he's at like 500,000 right now. In his case, he worked with the woman and he had a conversation with her and he decided to cut ties. I guess he wasn't satisfied with her answer. Maybe she was tap dancing around the subject. And of course, I guess with them both being friends of Kevin Samuels, I guess I don't know, he definitely felt like a certain kind of way. But I saw nothing wrong with what he said. He held her accountable. He didn't attack her looks or something. He did question her character, and everything that he did it eloquently and intelligently, and I endorse that. Now, however, though, with him jumping ship, I do have to look at her sideways, but we're going to hear her speak. Now, I have one more video I want to share by Anthony Spade, and I never did one of his videos, but he grabbed a clip of this guy talking that used to work with Pearly. So let's look at that.
Making this video today that I didn't initially want to make, but there comes a time when we're all at a crossroad and have to make a decision. And sometimes that decision can affect you morally, it can affect you spiritually, and it can affect you financially. But it's a decision that we can't shy away from. Now, recently, Just Pearly Things has been caught up in some controversy. Why? She has interviewed avid racist and known racist Nick Fuentes. He is also an anti-Semite. What did Pearl do when she interviewed him? What she done was that she laughed with him and seems to agree with a lot of his points.
Talk about instances of like when they initially freed the slaves, there were some slaves that felt so indebted to their owners that they would travel across states to pay them back, and they actually had a really good relationship with them.
And I don't really take that to the heart. The reason why blacks shouldn't take it to heart, because Harriet Tubman said the same thing out of her mouth. She said, I could have freed 1,000 more slaves if they only knew they were slaves. She had a lot of slaves that did not want to come with her on the Underground Railroad because they felt like they needed to stay with their master. They were really indebted to their master. They really wanted to be with their master. So what Just Pearly Things is saying kind of coordinates with what Harriet Tubman said. I just thought I'll put that out there before people start taking things a little personal.
I helped Pearl grow her channel. Okay, I was on there week to week, and I was working with her based on a fee. So the tragic death of Kevin Samuels happened, and there was a vacuum within the manosphere space. Who was it going to be filled by? It was actually filled by Just Pearly Things along with other content creators. Now, I believe that the reason why this space was filled is because Kevin Samuels had a large following of black men. And these black men were essentially fed up with the way feminism had taken over their community, specifically their women. So when he died, there was a vacuum and a lot of black men looking for content like this. And it was filled by Pearl. And I believe that Pearl rose to fame because she herself was the opposite of what those men had been seeing. She was a white woman. She wasn't the types of women that they had been seeing. And essentially, she was regurgitating Kevin Samuels' content.
All right, let's stop right there because that's where it makes a lot of sense. He's right. Soon as Kevin Samuels died, there was a void, and it seemed like she picked up the void. Now, the problem here is she's looking at it from a business mindset. Everybody's looking at it from a business mindset. Everyone that does this content is trying to profit. So they're going to come in it looking like a business. But do you blame her for seeing opportunity, or do you blame the black men that chose to be led by the white woman? They chose to go follow her after following a black man. So who do you blame? You blame Kevin's audience, or do you blame Pearl for coming into the community and gaining monetized gain? Both were gaining monetized gain. All the content creators are blaming are going for monetized gain. But he's right. You have to blame the black men that chose to go over there and make her famous too. Why? Kevin has millions of subscribers, and she picked up his millions of subscribers that needed a void to be filled. I absolutely agree with Sarai Garvey. Let's get back to it.
Well, that still doesn't explain to me why she grew so fast. Now, I'm not going to lie. I am a little envious of anyone that just comes somewhere and then just blows up, especially women, because I know it always proves to me like how many simps are out there. Not that men were totally just simping over her just because of her looks, but definitely they like what she was saying, and yeah, probably because she was white, that probably did make a reason for why that was happening.
In the beginning, I started to think that maybe this girl has a colonial mindset. Now, we all know that we don't want to be paranoid, so I kept working with her. However, the more I worked with her is the more that I saw. She had a colonial type viewpoint when it came to black people, and I had to school her a few times on what it was like to be black and the black experience, and also what slavery and colonization was actually like.
This is the part that I want a lot of guys and women out there to pay attention to whenever it comes to Pearl. Just because they're coming into this space and they're saying the things that you like doesn't mean that they relate to you. And I've said this 100th time. If you want to be a content creator in this space, all you have to do is pander to men who have been hurt by women and repeat the things over and over again that gets you the views. It's always the same phrases. Modern women this, modern women that, women are bad this, divorce courts are bad, divorce rates are high, this is that. There are certain phrases in this space that if you repeat them over and over again, you will gain an audience. But it doesn't mean that the person that's telling you it relates to your pain. This is what you want to pay attention to right here.
There's a book, right, called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And when you read that book, you realize that the whole industrial revolution and stuff like that was started because of the colonization. And you just think, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't be as successful.
See, what you have to understand is when you're talking to someone just like Just Pearly thinks, she's an educated white woman that's coming from a successful family. You have to realize her dad is extremely rich. He's almost a billionaire. So they've already taught her from an economical standpoint of view what to do business-wise. What he's saying to her is nothing, because that's her game plan. That's how business is. There's no freebies. There's no fairism whenever it comes to business. That's what she's looking at it from her point of view. She's not looking at it like, oh, they use you to get ahead. They're using black people to get ahead. Oh my God, they're using black people to get ahead. Oh Lord. They're looking at it like that's business. Chinese have people that have been used. You have the Europeans were used at one point. Middle Eastern were used. At some point, somebody was being used for monetized gain. And I always tell you, if you're not chasing your dream, then you're helping someone else accomplish theirs.
And in that video, what you saw was me attempting to tell Pearl and show Pearl what colonization was like. How people went to another group of people and took their resources and took what was theirs and built their empire off of it. So when Pearl now plays like she doesn't know what colonization is, and she doesn't know what slavery is, and she says these insensitive statements, in that video I actually attempted to give her a book. It was called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I've read it myself. She semi-dismissed that book. She kind of dismissed that book. And then she went on with herself to go and interview a man like Nick Fuentes. Pearl has Africans that work for her.
Now, that's what I like about Anthony. He's like real balanced and level-headed. But yeah, I can't give her a pass here because she fucked up with that interview. Now, this guy is going to be talking about like the contracts and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure with dealing with anybody in this space or any type of career that's on commission and YouTube views, that in a way they're either going to do you dirty or just draw up like a business contract. And I do see that when he was talking to her about this, that I did feel like she was just like nodding and saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's what happened in that damn video with that Nick Fuentes, that she was just, yeah, 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 doing. So
She pitted African Americans versus Africans when she spoke about how hard Africans work compared to how hard African Americans work. And
Yeah, but that's not really, you got to realize he's over in England. So he sees it from a different angle. I know over here in America, I know the Africans do outwork the African Americans. That's just how it is. Plain and simple. Everybody sees that, but it's not a divide and conquer situation. It's actually facts, because we say that about Africans that are over here. They work hard. A lot of African Americans are lazy and spoiled. Those are facts as well. And if your butt hurt, bye.
myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation about me signing to her contractually. And I want to make this very clear. I have never signed to the Just Pearly Things network. I have always been an independent. Pearl has known that, and I have known that. And so anytime I worked with Pearl, we had agreed a fee, and I worked for that fee. I have never been signed to the Just Pearly Things contracts. However, she has signed a few Africans, namely King Rich's and Auntie Jenny. Now, I have no problem with a King Rich's or an Auntie Jenny. However, if we look at the contracts that they signed, you would understand the reason why I use the term colonization and colonial. Now, myself and Pearl sat down to have a conversation, and
he's never seen a music contract before. That's what it is. He's never seen a television contract before. I'm pretty sure they're making way more than those contracts. I can guarantee you that.
Expressed to me that she wanted to do a new segment for her show. In that segment, she said that she would like me to present a topical news show on a day-to-day basis. So I said, okay, no problem. Talk to me. What are we talking about? And she said she would want me within her studio 4 days per week. I said, okay, from what time? She said from 10 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. And I said, okay, well, that is 7 hours. I said, so working 4 to 5 days a week for 7 hours is essentially a day job. I said to her, okay, so what is my guaranteed fee at the end of the month? What is the salary? And she looks at me and she says, we do not do guarantees and we do not do salaries. So if you don't do guarantees and you don't do salaries, what is it that you actually do? And she said she does percentages. So I said, okay, cool. Well, what's the percentage? She said, Sarah, you're the high end, so you will get 70-30. So I said, fine, okay, let me listen. 70% goes to me and 30% goes to you. Now she looked at me and she said, no, 70% goes to me, Pearl, and 30% goes to me, Sarah Garvey.
You see the look on his face right now? Let's see why she would say that to him. Because if I knew I had my own podcast and somebody came and gave me an offer like that, trust me, I'm going to have the same look on my face. Let's get to it.
And that's when I started scratching my head. And I said, hang on a minute. So are you telling me that's a high-end contract for you? And she said, yes. And I said, so are you saying that Just Pearly Things Network has other people on low-end contracts? She said, yes. I said, King Rich's and Auntie Jenny? She said, yes. I said, what's the low end? She said, it's 10 to 15%. So essentially, she could be owning 80% of the content, which is basically the monetized views on somebody's channel and they only take home 15% of the money? She said yes.
Because it's just like a record label. She's looking at it like, my name is just Pearly Things. I've built myself up a substantial amount of subscribers that's going to keep people watching. We have people behind the scenes that are going to keep the content rolling to keep us in the algorithm. So with her paying other employees, the cameraman, the digital marketing people to cut down the videos, do thumbnails and put it out, it all swings back to him. This is why she's offering that type of deal. It's because all he has to do is show up and film, but she's paying other people to make sure that there are people that are going to be watching the videos. She isn't the only one that does this. Fresh and Fit don't have people signed to them, but this is what they do behind the scenes. They have people getting paid to keep them inside of the algorithm. The difference between her and Fresh and Fit is that Fresh and Fit has way less employees, but pump out the same amount of volume as she does, which means they're splitting the money less ways.
How?
And Anthony was right on both points. That's why I used his video. Because if I just watched the guy's video talking about how he was being paid or something, because I'm more of a 9-to-5 guy, I have been paid because I've done photography. So I have been paid through like agreement, like a written up agreement or somewhat contractual type of thing or something. But I remember one time I did like an event. Well, it was a party, but I figured out later it was a wedding, and the guy was really trying to lowball me, and I still didn't get the amount that I thought I should get for that type of event, but at least I was able to get what I told them I wanted initially going, which was about $300, I believe. Yeah, it was either $250 or $300. Anyway, yeah, I can't blame Pearly on the contract stuff because she has to pay employees, and obviously, okay, she has to get a profit and she has to pay the bills and she has to pay the employees. So obviously it's going to come out with the percentage, 10, 15% or something. And let's just guess. Let's say she gets like 1,000 on a video. Okay. She takes maybe 30% of it, depending. Yeah, she takes 30% of that, and then she has to pay like 5-10 other people. So obviously though, they're going to get cut down to like 10 or 15% or something. I'm just using that as like an example. Anyway, yeah, this video is already running close to an hour. Let's now get to Pearly or what she has to say about this.
Hey guys, welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel, and welcome to Morning Coffee Thoughts, where I give my thoughts over morning coffee. Today I have a chai tea. I quit coffee. You guys don't care about what I'm drinking. Okay. Today, I'm going to be addressing the Nick Fuentes situation. Yeah, I know why you guys are here. Okay. So I want to first say I take full accountability for everything that happened. Everything that happens in life, as I say to the girls on my show, is my own fault. The fact that people are making these videos is my own fault. And the situation that I'm in is my own fault. Now, I'm going to give you guys an explanation and give you guys context for some of the conversations that were had. Just know it's not an excuse. It's my own fault. I take full accountability for everything that happened. Okay. So, but I'm going to answer questions that people have brought my way. So the first thing is, why did you have Nick on? So, the reasoning behind having Nick Fuentes on was because I heard that he was on the no-fly list and he lost his bank account. Now, from your point of view, you would think, why would you invite someone on that's on the no-fly list, right? That would be a bad... Well, he's not anymore. That's how he flew, but he was. So I was more just curious why this man was banned on everything. Now,
okay. I gotta see the whole video, but right now she's on a good start. She's taking accountability. She didn't bust out crying. That is usually something I definitely look for for women, especially white women, when they get on there and they apologize and start getting emotional and bust out crying or something. So she seems like she's aware of what she did and how she fucked up.
I've seen a lot of videos that say I play dumb or I'm playing dumb. And I'll tell you what I knew and what I didn't know. So I did know that he was a known racist. I did know he was a known sexist. I did know that basically every bad name in the book from the right and the left, everyone hated him. So the reason I had him on was because, guys, people say that stuff about me. They say I'm sexist. They say I'm a misogynist. And, you know, I really just like to give people the benefit of the doubt when I interview them. I don't go into interviews trying to interrogate someone. I just more try to listen and see where they're coming from. In hindsight, that wasn't smart. And in hindsight, I should have had someone, you know, maybe Sarah Garvey, maybe another content creator that could have pushed back more and really was more educated on the topics that he was talking about than I was, because I certainly was not an expert in any of the stuff that he was talking about. I did remove the interview. I, again, did not think through a lot of the repercussions of posting that, so I just removed it. If you do want to see the full interview, Obsidian did react to it. That's on his channel. The intention was not, I guess, to hide it. It was just, you know, this might not have been the best move. I'm just going to remove it now. So again, racism has no place in society, and I do take accountability for bringing him on. Hindsight's always 2020. I wrote down some of the complaints that people had. So if I look this way, it's just because I made bullet points of everyone's concerns and I'm just addressing them. Okay. My Africans, that part. So in the heat of the conversation, I made some remarks to my producer, Blessing. Now, Blessing is a godsend. Okay, Blessing has made the production quality literally phenomenal. He's so talented. And during this conversation, we were talking about immigration, and I said, I'm trying to get my Africans to America. Now, I watched it back, guys. It was so cringy. Oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. I meant my African employees. I just said Africans. The reason is because, like, why wouldn't you just say my employees or whatever to America? The African passport system is just more difficult than the UK one. I didn't know, like, Blessing had to go to the embassy or something to apply to go to America with me next month. We're going to go do some work there. And, yeah, and so I've just found that the immigration process is a bit more difficult. So that's why I referred to them, because my African employees, I needed more help with. And, you know, I was saying in the interview that I wanted more open border policies because I wanted them to come. Again, you know, I really respect the African culture. I had no ill will or malice towards any of that. But it sounded absolutely awful. It was so cringy watching back. You know, so it was stupid. It was stupid. Okay. Now let's talk about my Africans was the other one. And then, the joke about Blessing being late. So one thing that they cut out from that clip was that Nick Fuentes did say after, I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm just kidding. Okay. Now, even so, it was still in poor taste. And what I didn't think about at the time was, sorry, for those that didn't see it, basically Nick Fuentes was talking about he's always late. And I said, you were on time today. Oh, Blessing was the one that's late. And it's sort of an inside joke here at Just Pearly Things. Like, Blessing is he's phenomenal, but he's a late guy. And every time he comes in, he says African time. Now, Pearl me. So when I was referring to him during this joke, I was like, African. Now, I was saying African time, referring to what he says when he comes in. Now, what I realized is this was especially disrespectful because we did have someone that's a known white supremacist race. Like, you know, making that joke in front of him, with him, is just in poor taste. And I did apologize to him for it. I really had no malice or ill will. But, you know, stupid. It was just stupid, okay? The next thing is I've gotten a lot of criticism for, using the Black culture and then I'm going right and leaving it, like that sort of thing. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that seems to be a big point of contention. My intention was never to be, a quote unquote leader in the Black manosphere or the manosphere in general. I really have always just looked at the men as the leader. I mean, they're the thought leaders. Let's just be honest. And me, I try to support them in any way I can. I bring them on my show, but saying I'm a leader in the space, I feel like women follow, men lead. So I really think, that's just my opinion. Now, the other thing was the demographic of the women on my show. Guys, I haven't done recruiting in months. So when I started, I never expected it to blow up this fast. I never in my life thought I'd have 1 million subscribers in a year. I wrote my goals for the year before and it was 100,000. I thought I'd maybe get 100K by the end of the year. Okay, that's what I thought. Now, everything blew up so fast, and I haven't done recruiting since maybe July. The only time I have is maybe to help out if we're low on a show. So or if there's a really big panel, like the Andrew Tate panel, I handpicked everyone that was on that. But in general, guys, I really don't recruit. I think one reason that there have been so many Black people on the show is because the recruiter that I picked was Nigerian. And he just had the type of job that he could recruit while he went on the job. And he knew a lot of people. He was already in the podcast space. So he was just a good recruiter. So it makes sense that he knows more Nigerian women. Okay. But again, the next part. Now, this was the part that was probably the dumbest part of the whole interview. This was the stupidest, the dumbest. Oh, this was stupid. So I said that slavery was embellished in the interview. Now, that not only is that comment insensitive, it's not accurate. There were things in slavery that were worse than what was shown on TV. What I was referring to, I don't even want to tell you guys what I was trying to say because it wasn't what came out and it doesn't even matter. Again, if you watch the full thing, I was more referring to the system of using atrocities to control people. That's what I was trying to say. But to say that it wasn't, that it was embellished is, so stupid, insensitive. And nor am I, sure, I've read a couple books, but I'm not informed or qualified enough to really have that conversation. So not bringing someone else onto the show, again, stupid. Now, the next thing is that my friend Gabby came on the show with him, and she's dating someone that is Black. And he would say openly racist comments to her. Now, I should have pushed back on that. I've been in interracial relationships. So for me to not push back on that, especially with all of the people that have been on my show, was stupid. It was stupid. I just, I was kind of like a deer in the headlights. I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh gosh. And the video we were watching wasn't even supposed to be about that. So I really don't have an excuse. It was just stupid. And again, I take full accountability for this stuff. And, if I had to do it over again, I would do it differently, but I can only move forward. So, sorry, I want to make sure that I addressed everything. I think I did. Okay. Because I talked about recruiting. Okay. So, moving forward, I really would be open to having a discussion with someone that can bring more awareness and education to the situation. So I'm open to you guys' suggestions in the comments. I also invite anybody that's made a video about me or has comments to address with me to go on Obsidian's stream tonight. It's 8 p.m. GMT. Blessing will also be there. And yeah, you know, because I don't want to run from this stuff. Again, a lot of this stuff was not well thought out. A lot of this stuff I could have done better, and I do take full accountability for that. So, you know, go on the stream if you got something to say. I also would like to say I really don't have beef with anyone in the space that made videos about me. I understand where they were coming from. I understand where I went wrong. And I really think they had a lot of valid criticisms about me. So let me know what you guys think. I really did my best to address all of the comments in a concise way. I'm not trying to play the victim. Everything in this that has happened is my fault. And I'm just, yeah, my fault. And I will do better in the future. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Like the video on your way out, I guess, or don't. You know, you can oh shoot, they don't have a dislike button anymore. But anyways, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you on Obsidian.
Okay, so there you have it. The Pearly things. Now, she didn't really say she's sorry. But she says she's accountable. It's her fault. And I mean, I accept that. Because, like, I want women to hear now, especially the women that feel like they look better than her. I have never, ever heard a woman take accountability like that. Now, of course, though, she's on a platform and she don't want all her subscribers to leave. Now, the fact that she still has over 1 million subscribers tells me that wasn't a knee-jerk reaction with her subscribers leaving. You know, I did feel a couple of times that maybe she was about to cry because I started seeing some emotion well up in her face, but she didn't start crying because that was a cue right there. I was like, don't cry, lady, because if you cry, I'm going to feel like just like a sympathy vote. And she didn't play the victim where she could have did a thing of like saying like, well, I didn't know and all this other stuff. What happened. The thing is though, to see if she repeats this similar mistake again. But see, now this goes back to that little thing with what was that video did? Yeah, on the woman's relationship will. Okay. Now, most of the time men are going to forgive this, but women usually won't because they don't like you no more because you did this particular thing and maybe you did it multiple times. So I'm going to see if she makes similar mistakes in the future. But with the one mistake there, and even, okay, and let's go worst case scenario. What if, this was kind of a BS apology and deep down she doesn't feel accountable? It still doesn't take away with the things she has said and the things she has did in this space, because I think because of her is almost, well, not her by herself, but I think she pushed it a little bit more that this space is more mainstream now. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this long ass video, and I'm gonna have fun editing it. So enjoy and good night.
I still wanna run to you.